In this video, I'm just going to be talking about some books that I've read that I really liked a lot. I'll talk about what season I think they complement, because definitely books need to fit the season for me and the weather. First book I'm going to recommend one that made me really sad, but laugh at the same time. So it's called Crying in H Mall. I think this book was kind of a winter read. I don't know if this makes sense, this whole season thing, but it was sad, so I'm putting it in the winter. It's by Michelle Zona, who's also in a band, I think, called Breakfast Cereal or something? Japanese Breakfast. It's a memoir actually about Michelle's mother. It takes you along in their relationship, and you kind of see how their relationship evolves through Michelle growing up, and how the dynamics change as she goes through puberty and like tries to find herself, blah blah blah, and their strained relationship, and then her mother gets cancer, and you kind of see her deteriorate and how it affects her relationship, but also her relationship with her father. I don't know, it's really made me reflect on how it would be if my mum got cancer. You would be grateful for everyone you have. I know it sounds crazy, but it's so true. I really got emotional reading this book. I think I cried. Also, I laughed a lot because it made me realise a lot of mums are the same, and they say the same annoying things, but they want your best interests at the end of the day. Also though, it talked about identity being mixed, so like having two nationalities, and not feeling like you belong as either of them. Also talked about food, so I liked it. Yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was really good. Next, oh my god, I loved this book. I absolutely loved it. Isn't it translated? I don't know if it's translated or not, but anyway, it's called The Mountain Sings, and it's about the land reforms in Vietnam during like the 1950s, and also then the Vietnamese War with America, and like between North and South, and it follows this one family throughout the generations and all the hardships they have to go through. But it was so beautifully, kind of like lyrically written, and it had these idioms, and just it felt so authentically Vietnamese, and the food and the struggle. I don't know, I just felt like it was a cultural experience too, and I was learning so much about the culture. It was such a beautiful read. I think I just thought it was really beautifully written. Yeah, I would read it again. Like, I'm kind of reminiscing. I think you can read it in anytime. It was so good, anytime. God, having a good book is just something that I will spend so much time enjoying. I savor good books, because when you read a bad book, you're like, this is the worst. But then when you read a good book, it's like, that's all I want to do, is read it. The next book, this is called A True Goes in Book Club. Funny story, I tried to get into this book like maybe 5 times, and I read the same like 10 pages so many times. And then I finally managed to finish it, and I loved it. It's such a good book. I think it's somewhat of a classic. It's about it's a coming of age story about this girl who lives in Orthodox Jewish New York, and it's set like a long time ago actually, 1919. I don't entirely remember what it was about because I read it quite a while ago, but I loved it. It's very descriptive. Not much happens, but it was so beautifully written again. I'm just a sucker for someone who writes about the mundane things in life and the small things, but writes about them so aptly, so accurately. It was a very relaxing read, and I would actually associate this book with the spring. Next, okay, this isn't a fictional book. I read this book a while ago. I've always loved David Goggins. He's such an inspiration. If you're in a slump and you feel like a lazy slug, you need to read his book. And I think it gave me perspective on like victim mentality that I don't want to slip into and be like, oh, it's so hard for me, the world. Yeah, because he just showed like he had all the hardships possibly ever thrown at him, and he still became the toughest dude. And I respect him so much, and this book is amazing. And it's written like he's giving you a pep talk the whole time. He's like, get the fuck out of bed, 400-page pep talk, and I would do it again. This book I'm talking about, I don't have it on me, but I really liked it, so I'm going to talk about it. And it's called A Long Petal of the Sea by something Allende, I forget her name, and it was fantastic. It was about the Spanish Civil War, and then the migration to Chile, and then the Chilean Revolution. And yeah, it was a historical fiction once again. Very educational but beautifully written. Oh my god, I loved her work. I want to read more of her books because she's very descriptive. Again, I just really appreciated how well constructed the book was, and it followed different people, the privileged and the poor, and it kind of made you realise like the two different sides on in the Civil War, and it can be read in winter. Okay, my favourite book, possibly of all time, that I want y'all to read is called Bear Town by Fredrik Backman. It's a Swedish guy. It's a translated book, and it was insane. It was insane. It's quite a long book, but I was gripped the whole time. I would give it a 10 out of 5. It was, I don't know who translated his work, but he did it justice. It's a story about, this is a winter read. This is such a winter read, so read it now before we get into summer. Because it's set in some village, some obscure village in Sweden, this little forest village that is tiny and has no kind of interaction with the outside world. All they have is an ice rink, and their pride and joy that brings like respect to the village is their hockey, their ice hockey. Something happens that changes everything. The main hockey player rapes this girl, and it was about how the whole village reacts to this rape. And it was a book that followed many different people and their lives, so it had so many different perspectives on life, and it was the best written book I have ever read in my life. It was so on point with everything it said. Everything it said was just it sent shivers. It literally sent shivers down my spine. I cried many times reading this book, and I would stop and I was like, he said it, like he said exactly how it is. I didn't realise that could be so accurately pinpointed, but he managed to just, I can't even use words, but it was incredible. It was incredible. I was shocked that books could be this good. Okay, the next book I'm gonna read, I actually want to tell you guys, is this book. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's called Open Water. It's actually set in East London, and apparently it references like Bethnal Green and places that I know. And it's a love story, and I think it interlaces like themes of race, love, masculinity. I'm not sure because I haven't read it, but my friend read it, and she said it was like reading poetry, but not in an annoying way, and it was an amazing book, and I cannot wait. So this is the next book I'm going to read, and I'll let you know how it goes. But that is my book club moment. Let me know if you like book clubs with me, and yeah, I'll see you next time.